So I'm driving home from work right now, and I was just thinking about a conversation that I had today with my manager during our one-on-one conversation. So we were just talking about like the job market and real estate, because I do work in corporate real estate. Our company was just recently acquired by a different company, and of course like that caused like some layoffs and everything. So when you're working in corporate America, I feel like layoffs are always in the back of your mind. I've worked in corporate for the last like almost like 10 years now. How old am I? No, the last 6 or 7 years, and I haven't been laid off yet, but I've seen other people get laid off, and I've seen how quickly it can happen. So it just got me to thinking about how I got to my current position that I'm in today. So that's what I want to tell you guys about, how I got my current 6-figure salary corporate job, and just give you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So just to give you a little bit of backstory on me, I got my bachelor's degree back in 2018 from Louisiana State University. After undergrad, I immediately started working in corporate real estate. At that time, I was working in residential real estate in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I wanted to move to Houston. Once I moved to Houston, I landed a job in commercial real estate. And of course, switching from residential real estate to commercial real estate, I received like a large pay increase because you just make more. But I found that you just make more money in commercial real estate than you do in residential real estate, because you know commercial real estate is dealing with other businesses, whereas residential is dealing with like just everyday regular people who own homes. So yeah, once I first moved to Houston a few years ago, I switched over to commercial real estate, and I had a pretty decent salary there. I worked there for a few years while I was working on getting my master's degree. I got my MBA with a concentration in finance. While I was still in school finishing up my MBA program, a recruiter from my current job reached out to me on LinkedIn, wanted to know if I was interested in the position. One thing about me is, even when I'm employed and comfortable in a position, I never not apply for jobs. Like I always keep my Indeed, LinkedIn, any handshake, any job site that I go on to find jobs, I always keep my information updated. My contact information is updated so that recruiters know how to contact me. And I also keep track of what jobs are out there. Like I'm always looking at different job postings, seeing the requirements, you know, what kind of certifications, how many years of experience, what type of person they're looking for. And that's just because like I feel like you should always keep your options open. These companies are gonna always do what's best for them. I just parked at home, but like I was saying, you know how people just like scroll on social media all day long? I would scroll on LinkedIn and Indeed, and it wasn't even because I just desperately needed a job or I desperately needed more income. Back when I was an undergrad, I had a meeting with one of the career counselors, and they were just telling me, you know, no matter how settled you are in a position, how much you love a position, to always be on the lookout. You know, you never know if something better can come along, and that's the type of mentality that I have. Now, my degree is a science degree. It had absolutely nothing to do with real estate. After I completed undergrad, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do career-wise. I was just working random jobs. I was a fitness trainer at one point. I worked at State Farm, and then I applied for this one job in real estate, in residential real estate, and it was going to be paying me more money than I'd ever made before. So I was just like super excited about that. Still to this day, I feel like I was just so lucky with that job, because I had like zero real estate experience. I didn't know nothing about real estate, and I went into my interview and I was just honest with the guy. I told him like I don't know anything about real estate, but I got this degree and I don't know what to do with it. And I explained to him that I didn't know anything about real estate, but I would be willing to learn. So he hired me. What happened with my bachelor's degree was I originally went to school to be a nurse, and then I decided I didn't want to be a nurse. I wanted to be a physical therapist. And then as I was working at a physical therapy clinic as a tech, I didn't like the work that the physical therapist did, and so I decided I no longer wanted to do physical therapy, that I was going to do occupational therapy. I thought I wanted to do occupational therapy instead, because in that same office there was an occupational therapist, and she was like really nice. I really liked her, and so I was like, you know what, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I switched over to occupational therapy, and after a few months of working that, I realized that I just did not want to work in the health field. But once I realized that, I was already in my 4th year of college and I was about to graduate soon, and it was going to be, I mean, it wasn't too late for me to change my major. I could have changed my major again and just like been in college longer, but I just feel like that would have been a waste of money. The work would stress me out so much that I quit my job without giving them any notice whatsoever. And so then I went and took a job working at Macy's, and I made $2 less than what I was making working in a clinic. So I got these macaroons and cupcakes from work today, and they look so good. I really pride myself on my resume skills, on my speaking skills, on my lying skills, because we all know you can't be 100% honest during these interviews. Every job that I've wanted, that I've interviewed for, I've gotten the job. This red velvet cupcake looks so good. So right before I finished my master's degree, a recruiter from my current job reached out to me on LinkedIn wanting to know if I was interested in speaking about my current position. And I just remember when I first got the message, I ignored it for like 2 days, because I get like a lot of messages on LinkedIn from different recruiters reaching out wanting to speak with me for different positions. That's what led to me getting the job that I have now. It wasn't really easy to get this job. Even though the recruiter reached out to me first, I had to do a total of 8 different interviews with all the VPs of the company, and they all had to agree to hire me. Okay, so here are my tips based on my own personal experience. So the first thing is experience. I do feel like you need some type of experience to get a higher paying job, because I know that I wouldn't have gotten this job without the experience that I already had in real estate. I was already very familiar with all of the real estate terms that they were using during my interview. I was already very familiar with all of the job duties that were going to be required of this position. You know how like on the job posting there's like a description of all the duties and everything and what's going to be expected of that person? I did extensive research on every single item on the job posting to make sure that I knew at least something about it in case it was brought up in the interview. And then my background in real estate really helped, and just knowing what they were talking about really helped me. I will say I don't feel like you necessarily need a degree. You definitely don't need a master's degree. My supervisor doesn't even have a master's degree, and I did not even have my master's degree yet when I started this position. The next thing is the most important thing for me, because if I hadn't done this, then I just would have never gotten this job. And that's just to keep all of your information up to date on these different job websites. Because like I told you, the recruiter reached out to me. Like, I didn't even know this job existed. I had never heard of this company before. The recruiter was able to come across my profile when she typed in keywords, and when she was looking for people for this role, I popped up because on LinkedIn you can add different skills and you can add so much stuff to your LinkedIn profile. I think you can add like 50 skills or something like that on LinkedIn, and I have like all of my skills on there. What I like to do on like LinkedIn and Indeed is I tailor my profile to the general job description of the type of jobs that I want. Like, does that make sense? Like, I work in like real estate / finance / legal, so I look at so many different job postings and job descriptions that I know what those type of recruiters are looking for. So I make sure I add all of those skills to my profile so that when they're searching for a candidate, my profile is gonna pop up. But the one thing I will say that you should be safe with is putting your address and your full name on these websites. I don't have my full name and my address on any of them because I feel like there's just such a safety risk. Like, anyone who knows your full name could just go type your name in and they'll see your address and stuff like that. So I don't even put my address or my full name on my resume. Like, sometimes I don't even put my full name and address on the actual job application because I feel like, what do you need that for? Like, you only should need that once you hire me. Next is just to research your interviewer. Like, if you know their name, try to find as much information about them as possible. Try to find their Facebook and that's not to be creepy. Try to find their social media or things like that. This is one of the reasons why I don't put my full name on social media at all, because I don't want people looking for me. But it can be really useful for you to find your interviewer so that you know things about them. When I've done this, it makes me a little bit more comfortable doing an interview. Once I've like saw their Facebook or something, it makes me just a little bit more comfortable. And this leads me to my next thing, which is to make yourself interesting and relatable. So if you already get a sense of who this person is, you can kind of make yourself like relatable and interesting to them, and that's going to help your case. That's going to make them like you more and want to move you on to the next step. So my next thing is to just get certificates, any type of like, you know how there's like those free certificates that you can get on like Google. There's the SHRM certificate, which that certificate really helped me because my recruiter had that certificate as well. So when she saw it on my resume, we had that in common, so it was really helpful. And the last thing I want to say in this video is to send follow-up emails. You know how sometimes after your interview you don't hear back, and some people I feel like they just let it go, but me, I always send a follow-up email. I may even send 2 follow-up emails to push the process along. A very professional follow-up email. You could just Google what to say in a follow-up email to a recruiter and let them know that you're really serious about the position. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more I have to say, but I just can't think of it right now. This video was just so like spur of the moment. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.